these hosts and the American population in general, they're so indoctrinated into a fraudulent economic system that even when they say things that should boggle the minds, people just look at it as fait accompli. This is how things are. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side. Andrew Ross Sorkin has something to say about inflation cooling, and listen keenly. Let's take it on the other side.
We have Andrew Ross Sorkin with us. He's the co-host of CNBC's Squawk Box. Andrew, good morning. What do you make of this number as it crosses inflation down to 6.5% in December?
I think I'm with Steph. This is actually not a terrible number, not a great number. And the truth is it's a lagging number, meaning we're looking at numbers that are old. And the likelihood is that that number would be worse today. But again, we keep talking about sort of what is a good number. Part of it is what's a number that the Federal Reserve looks at and says, okay, I'm not going to continue raising interest rates because I'm worried about the economy. So I use this word perverse all the time. It's perverse. You want the number to be good. You don't want it to be too good. But you also don't want it to be too bad. If it's really too bad, then you're really in trouble. And so this is, I don't want to say Goldilocks, but this is what was expected. You're not seeing the markets move materially at this point. It was moved marginally up this morning on the futures, but we'll see. I know Joe was trying to pinpoint when was that moment that all of the quote smart money in the hedge fund land, and it was really this fall, decided that things were going to be terrible, 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 and people are bringing their earnings numbers down. One of the big questions for corporations is it throw everything into the kitchen sink now, meaning bring your earnings numbers down because that'll give you a little bit of runway later in the year, and therefore your numbers will therefore look better. That also may be happening right now. So we're seeing a lot of the numbers come down now, but hard to know what that means 6 months from now.
Hey, Andrew, we're going to hear from President Biden in just about an hour's time on inflation, on the state of the economy. But certainly what people really want to hear is going to be from Jerome Powell in a few weeks. It's the last inflation report we get before the next Federal Reserve's meeting. So I don't know if you have your crystal ball there, but what is your sense as to how this is going to be received? You mentioned only marginal movement so far on Wall Street, but there's a couple different audiences here: Wall Street, corporate America, the Fed. What do you think?
Right. Well, the big question is how do you look at something like CPI, which is actually an index of what people are paying for things, versus the employment picture. And we're still we're down at 3.5% unemployment in this country. And one of the things you've heard Jerome Powell say is that he needs to actually, in an odd way, he needs to make that number worse. He needs there to be more unemployment in this country, right? And so to the degree you think he's going to be focused on that, that might not be such a great thing in the immediate term, meaning he's going to continue to raise interest rates. If he looks at this data and again, is it lagging? Is that piece of it lagging? And also, is the employment picture lagging? Maybe he says, okay, things actually are not as good as we think, and maybe not as good is actually good because therefore he doesn't have to raise rates.
Now think about this. What Andrew Ross Sorkin is saying is that for our economy to work properly, we have to have pain from a certain amount of unemployed. They're also saying that, they constantly tell you what inflation is, 6.5%. What they don't tell you is that is from last year to this point, this year, it's 6.5%. But reality is this month's inflation or December's inflation was negative. In other words, it dropped. So month to month, we are actually... Last month, we didn't have zero inflation. We had negative inflation, which means we had a degree of deflation because of gas prices and a few other things, right? But worse is if you take a look at what he said, well, the employers are going to look at the data now and decide if they're going to have to, might as well say, cook the books. Hear what he says? Make them look so bad now. Take all your losses in now. So calculate to make your books look a certain way so that we can come out of it looking like we're stars. This economic system is a fraud. And the average American citizen within this economic system is nothing but a cog in the wheel to enrich a few. Again, think about it. in what Sorkin just told you. We need to see more pain on the American people with unemployment. And if we don't see the pain in unemployment, we're going to give everybody in the middle class and the working class pain by increasing their interest rates until they succumb to an economic system, a fraudulent economic system that says we must have a certain percentage of you suffering all of the time. And by the way, we're not going to tell you what inflation really is. We'll kind of tell you what it has been on a declining rate, not commensurate with what's actually occurring today in our economy. Like I've said several times, we have a fraudulent economic system. And when we understand it, we can do something to make it a real economy that supports us all. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.